Title of today's podcast, The First Steps to Break Free from Alcohol, Starting Your Journey. Often the most difficult part of the process, there's many difficult parts, but the initial start with anything is always tough. Think about it. Even like right now, I've had to do some traveling for work. I was on vacation for a few days for my daughter's soccer showcase. So I'm a little bit out of my regular routine. I haven't hit the gym, to give an example, from a gym perspective or an exercise or fitness or health perspective. I'm not on my regular routine with that. I've been out for a couple days. I did some mellow stuff. I walked a little bit. I got some little weight training in while I was at different hotels and whatnot, but it's not my normal routine, and I feel a little bit out of it. And so sometimes starting back, and even I do this. So I'm going to start back Monday because Monday feels like it's a good day, to get things going. A new week. I'm kind of coming off of just an odd schedule. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to do that. So if we take that same kind of idea and translate it over into, those first steps from breaking free from alcohol, even I said that back then, I'm going to quit Monday. I'm going to quit next week. I'm going to quit, next month, or I'm going to do, sober weekends, or I sober during the week and only drink on weekends, whatever that looks like. We're trying to make a plan and have an idea, but sometimes it's hard just to get started in anything that we're doing. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that today, whether you're considering either cutting back or just completely quitting. Regardless, it can feel tiresome. It can feel draining. It can be really, really hard in those first few steps. But I will say those first few steps are really the most important. And one thing to remember through this is you don't have to do this alone. You shouldn't do it alone. And we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like on how you can figure out how to have an accountability partner, how to have some community, which I would highly recommend joining our Sober Guy Victory Circle free men's community, which I mentioned. Those links are in the show notes or at thatsoberguy.com. That's a great place to start. And there's lots of other resources as well that are that we can talk about and that are on the website also. So let's start here. Let me take a quick drink here. Take a quick breath. Sometimes I can get going. I got to remember to slow down a little bit. I think that's a good tool, a good reminder, and a good exercise for all of us to practice. If you start feeling overwhelmed, if you start feeling like you're just kind of all over the place, just remember, just take a step back, take a breath, pause for a minute, and whatever it is you're doing, think if you need to. You don't have to respond to that text immediately. You don't have to respond to that email immediately. You don't have to make a decision right this second. Pause, stop, have a plan. All those things that there's a lot of different ways you can implement that exercise of just pausing for a moment. So something to think about. And even in this, as we start to go through this podcast, I felt I needed to take a pause for a minute. Okay, I paused. There it is. But honestly, I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit more relaxed now. So let's start with this basic truth. However many years you've been drinking, let's just start there. Let's say for me, it was 17, years roughly. Breaking free from alcohol after a 17-year run didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight for you either. It didn't happen overnight for me. After 17 years, it's not going to happen for you either, is what I'm trying to say here. So whatever that is, it's going to take some time. Whether it's 5 years, 17 years, or 30 years, it's not just going to unravel and suddenly everything is going to be different and amazing. It's possible. And you can absolutely take steps in the right direction that'll set a foundation for this lasting change and this change of mindset and environment and physical, mental, spiritual, 100% possible. But I just want to make that very clear. It's not an overnight thing. And you have to understand that and accept that early on. Otherwise, if you're looking for, your life's magically going to change in a week, yeah, there's some little changes that are going to happen. Absolutely. And some exciting ones at that, but it's going to take some time. Here's the good news. It doesn't all have to be all or nothing in the very beginning too. It's a really good thing to point out. For guys like me, maybe you can relate to me on this. I'm kind of an all or nothing type of guy, and I really struggle in this area. I've gotten better at it. Even my wife asked me, said, "Man, why does it got to be all or none with you? You can't. There's no middle." And it's like, man, if I'm doing something, I'm going 100% like in it, full speed ahead, or I'm not doing it. It's really hard to do in the middle, and so this doesn't have to be like that. This whole process is, and you've heard me say this before, probably, I heard it in the rooms a long time ago and in different meetings and groups, progress, not perfection. Progress, not perfection. And that is one thing that I would write that down. If I was you listening to this right now, that's the first time you've heard that, or maybe you've heard it, but you haven't really taken action on it. It's something that can really help take us out of our head when we start to get negative on ourselves and we start to get upset with ourselves because we didn't do it this way, or we missed a day, or we went back and drank again, or we missed a week at the gym, or whatever it is. We're trying to make progress. We're not trying to be perfect. Okay. So write that down, put it on your door, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it somewhere, put it in your phone, on your screensaver, something to remind you consistently. It's the little wins. And we're going to talk about that, about the wins and how to celebrate those as we get through this list here. So here's where we begin. Here's kind of the first steps. This is step one. Acknowledge your why. Okay. Acknowledge your why. Before you even think about changing any of your drinking habits, whether it's cutting back or quitting completely. Oh gosh, excuse me. Burping on the microphone. You got to love it. Whether it's changing your drinking habits or it's, just, so before you can even think about changing, I was going to cut that actually, but I don't think I'm going to do that. Oh, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, we can cut that. Okay. Before you even think about changing your drinking habits, whether it's going to be you're just cutting back or whether you're quitting for good, it's really important to dig deep and take some time to reflect on your why. Identify what your why is and why you want to make that change, why you want to quit. Make a pro and cons list. What are the pros to continuing to drink? What are the cons to it? I can almost bet money there's going to be more cons than there is pros, if you're being honest. Examples are you're tired of the hangovers. You're tired of feeling like crap. You're tired of not feeling healthy. You're tired of not being able to be physically active. You feel like alcohol is interfering in your relationships. It's having negative effects on different relationships, whether it's your marriage or friendships or business partnerships. Maybe it's your mental health. You're just not feeling like you should. I talk to a lot of guys and they say, man, like, I just want to feel better. I want to feel like clean. I want to feel like fulfilled. I want to do all the things that I dream about doing instead of just dreaming about them and never taking action. All kinds of different ways and examples and things that you can kind of write down to identify your why. So take some time, sit with these questions. If you need to stop this right now and put it on pause and grab a pen and a paper or grab your phone and, take a solid 10 minutes and identify your why. You can even title it that, identify my why, and then write down some of those notes on your why, on why you're doing this. It's super, super important. And see, a lot of the time we listen to podcasts and we listen to things and we listen to audiobooks. I'm guilty of this myself too, because a lot of the time I do this, I'm driving. So I can't necessarily like write notes while I'm driving. That would be pretty dangerous. I should go back, and I do occasionally go back, take notes, or I'll remember something and I'll take a little note about it. So if you're driving, do it later. If you can right now, like, it's really important to take action on these things and write them down. You'd be so surprised the power of writing things down and looking at them daily, visualizing them. If you go back and listen to the podcast with fitness coach and my buddy Joel Staley, who's an awesome dude, and I'd highly recommend his book. I think it's like $5 on Amazon right now, which is awesome. And he talks a lot about fitness and mental, emotional, even some spiritual fitness and visualization. Obviously, the fasting element of it and physical workouts is all combined in this too. But he talks a lot in the book about visualization and about the power of it. And he even talked about the podcast just a couple episodes ago. So that's another good one to check out if you want to learn more about this visualization. I think I said that right. Techniques and what the outcomes of some of that can be for yourself, for your family when you do that. And so writing these things down help with that process. They help with that visualization. They help with that repetitiveness. They help with the affirmations, which is another huge thing. Even that progress, not perfection that I was just talking about. When I said, write that down, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it on your door. That is an affirmation in a sense. That is a visualization statement that you can use. You can also just write down, pause and breathe. And post that somewhere. Put it on your phone. Put it somewhere where you're going to see it as a general reminder, where you're going to check that out every day. You're going to see it somewhere. Oh yeah, pause and breathe. You will be shocked if you do this and repeat, and all this stuff is a practice. If you practice these little things, they might seem stupid because we're so damn busy all the time. You take the time to do these little things and they can have a huge, huge effect. Okay, so back to your reasoning for quitting. What is your why? It doesn't need to be some huge, grandiose event either. So don't feel pressured like it has to be this huge thing. It can be as simple as, I want to feel better about my body. I want to feel better about my mind. I want to feel better about my overall health. I want to be more present for my kids, for my wife. I want to be a better leader at work. Whatever that looks like to you, it can be real simple. Write a couple of them down, and you can continue to add to that list of your why as you're going through this too. All right, let's move on to part 2, step 2 here. Starting with small goals. Starting with small goals. Once you've identified your why, now it's time to make a plan. Here's the thing. You don't need to make drastic changes right away. Chances are if you do that, you're going to feel overwhelmed. And it's really one of the biggest mistakes people can make when they're trying to quit something, or when they're trying to make big changes in their life, is they expect perfection from themselves right off of the start. And when it doesn't happen, they quit, or they get frustrated and they fall off. And it's very, very common if you've done this, but I'm sure everybody has done this at some point in their life. And if you haven't, you're probably either you're perfect or you're bullshitting. I don't know, but I know I've done it many times where I start something and then, man, I kind of fall off because it changes hard. And maybe I set too big of expectations. I have a grandiose plan, idea, and then I'm not looking at the little wins along the way. I'm just focused on this big thing. When I don't meet it with perfection, I get upset and, you quit. So it's very common is what I'm trying to say. You're not in this alone. Everyone's kind of dealt with this stuff. And one of the solutions to this is making a plan, and having that plan broken down into small, manageable goals, incremental changes along the way. It's a way better way of doing this and understanding this. Yes, have a grandiose goal. Like maybe it's 90 days alcohol free. Maybe it's 30 days. Maybe it's a year. Maybe it's the rest of your life. I don't know. Have a goal set. Absolutely. We definitely want to have goals, but you got to break up the plan into those incremental days, even doing it, one day at a time, the old saying. I'm sure some of you have heard that before. It's going to help you out in the long run, meet that big goal no doubt in the, like, as you kind of break it up, way easier. The small wins, they add up over time. Well, actually, let me back up. Let's give a quick example of this too. Maybe you set a goal to cut back drinking by just a little bit each week. Maybe you say, I'm going to drink one less day this week than I did last week, or I'm not going to drink during the week at all. Maybe you drink during the week and you're like, man, I'm going to start there. I'm not going to drink in the week. I'm going to see if that works. Like, these are different things to kind of gauge where you're at and see what you're looking. If it feels overwhelming to say, oh my God, I quit, then you got to take a different approach. And maybe this is an example of an approach. I'll tell you, for me, I couldn't do that. I tried that many times. I'm not saying it's not possible. Everyone's situation is different, but I tried to put limitations on it and say, I'm only going to drink, on the weekends. I'm not going to drink hard alcohol. I'm only going to, drink on this day. It just didn't work for me. I eventually had to push everything in and go all in and say, I'm just done. And I went and had to get some help to do that. But I learned a lot along that process. And, one of the things I learned is that everyone's situation is a little different. And, what worked for me might not work for you, and work for you might not work for me. So that's why I'm so open to, all different options and ideas. I think it's important that we use our brains and use common sense and be able to think critically and combine, facts, evidence, experience, all together, and kind of figure out what works best for each individual themselves. Although there's some very amazing foundational, pieces that have helped so many people in different meetings, different groups, different programs, all that stuff. Okay, I'm getting off topic here because I'm going off on my little rant here, but let me bring it back in. Okay, so those small wins, they add up, and before you know it, you have the momentum to keep going and meeting those bigger goals. Something to remember: every victory, every win, no matter how small, is still a win. So don't take those little wins for granted. Don't discount those moments of success, because they're building, like, you're setting that foundation and you're building blocks on top of that foundation to eventually create bigger and better change along the way. Okay, let's move on to step 3, shifting your mindset. Your mindset is huge. And man, this is one that a lot of us struggle with. I struggle with it myself. Like with many things, as the more we practice these things, the better we get them. So I'd like to think that I've gotten a lot better over the past 11, 12 years that I cut alcohol out of my life. But it doesn't mean that it's perfect. Progress, not perfection, right? Like, I don't ever believe that there's going to be a day where I'm like, I have arrived and I know it all and I'm perfect. Like, never going to happen. It's just not. Constant student, constant learning. Always try to keep that mindset. I always try to keep that mindset. And I would, if I was talking to someone younger than me or advising them or coaching them or whatever, I would give them the same advice. Always remain a student. Always be open to learning. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know, too. That's a big one. And a lot of that stuff is mindset stuff. Like, focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. Is the glass half full or is it half empty? The old classic one, right? So one of the most important shifts that you need to make when trying to cut alcohol out is to focus on what you can do rather than what is being taken away. Like, yes, there are things that might feel a little bit overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do life? I've been drinking this long, and like, I drink at a birthday party, a game, a funeral, an event, a work function. I got to take clients out. Like, there's some feelings there of fear for most people. Like, how am I going to do that without it? Number one, I'll tell you, it's absolutely possible. Number two, it's about having a plan, and it's about having the right mindset. If you spend all your time thinking about what you're missing out on, like the social experience or the feeling of escapism, you're going to be able to escape at the end of the day with that drink or relax with that drink. If you just think about that stuff, you're like, it can feel like a huge loss, I guess is the best way to put it. And that can be depressing, man. It can be scary. Like, I get it. But if you focus on instead on what you're going to gain from making these changes, clearer thinking, better relationships, physically, mentally, spiritually, more healthy, more time, more energy, more money. Like think about the money that you're saving by cutting this out. I mean, it's huge. So these are some of those things you can add to your list, to your pros or cons list, to your why. Some of the positive things, what you can do, what is good about this. That's the mindset we have to be in. And changing the way that you think about this is crucial. Instead of saying, once again, I can't have this. No, I'm choosing to prioritize my health, my happiness, my marriage, my role as a father, my role as a leader in my business so I can serve my clients and my communities better. This shift can make a huge difference in your mindset and in your motivation. So something, definitely to think about. You can incorporate some affirmations in that mindset thing. And I talk a lot about this in the coaching that I do. We go over a lot of this stuff in way more depth and detail. This is really just a high level overview of some of it, but you can use this stuff as a starting point in your own path that you're going down. Okay. And the affirmation stuff is huge. That kind of stuff is huge. So think about that. And if you need some ideas on what affirmations are, like I said, go back and listen to that a podcast with Joel Staley. We talked a little bit about affirmations, and there's a ton of stuff on old podcasts on Sober Guy with different guests and stuff where we've covered some of that stuff. And I think we have a whole section, actually. I think there's a whole day in the Quit Drinking 30-day challenge that deals with affirmations and an exercise, as a matter of fact, too. So you can check that out once again at thatsoberguy.com. All right, step 4, build a support system. Build a support system. This has got to be probably one of the biggest, all this stuff is so important, but building community, building a support system is absolutely imperative. It's huge. And I know I couldn't do, 11 going on 12 years without alcohol, without support, starting with my wife, my kids, my extended family, my friends, and then different support groups that I've been a part of over the years. Celebrate Recovery, different 12-step groups as well, different men's groups in church, the Sober Guy community, our Sober Guy men's group, different conferences, podcast guests that I've met and had great conversations with. All this stuff is part of a support system. Our church in general, just a great support system, my faith. Gosh, there's so many different elements of it I'm thinking about now as I'm even kind of talking this out. You don't have to do it alone. And I'll kind of add a caveat to that. You can't do it alone. At least I haven't really seen anybody who can. Having a support system is one of the most powerful ways to stay on track, to stay accountable. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, a community group, like I said, a men's group. Maybe you need to get a mentor. Maybe you need to hire a coach. Whatever that looks like for you, you have to have somebody or a community of somebody's that you trust and that can encourage you, that can support you. That is going to be the difference between failure and success. It really is at the end of the day. Like I said, I haven't met a lot of people who have not, who've been able to make drastic changes in their life completely 100% by themselves. We're just not designed that way. We're designed to be in community. We're designed to be with other people and share experiences and help each other along the way. If you don't have somebody in your personal life to support you, maybe this is like, that's a great opportunity to go to a meeting or to look at a support group or to go to your local church or to go to the Sober Guy men's community or find a different community. There's tons of them out there, different podcasts and different places where you can jump in online and find meetings. And there's so much different stuff. It's online communities, professional help even too. Like there's so much different stuff to kind of get dialed into. You just have to have the courage to step out and do it. And I know that can be tough sometimes, but I just want to encourage you again, you can, but you have to get uncomfortable in order to make some progress and some change. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to feel a little bit of fear. You're feeling, that's good. Just remember that. Oh my God, I'm feeling right now. Because a lot of us, man, the reason I drank for so long is because I hated feeling. I still struggle with it sometimes, but like that was a way to escape for me. But the ability to get to feel and to be able to do it in a healthy manner, even though it's hard sometimes, man, it's great. A lot of ups and downs though. And, you want to be around people that you can talk to about that and share experiences and get some feedback and advice and even support when you need it the most. So don't be afraid to reach out if you're struggling. Sometimes just talking about your feelings, talking about how you're feeling in that moment, reaching out and going like, I'll text one of my buddies or someone, hey man, damn, I'm like Seth, for instance, dude, having a rough day today. Just feeling a little bit disconnected and, man, I just needed to get that out. I'm just trying to get back on, my kind of positive outlook. And I have those days sometimes, and I don't need a big spiel from Seth or whoever that if you're reaching out to someone, they're not going to fix anything a lot of the time. Most of the time they're there because you trust them to listen, and maybe they will provide you with some feedback or some advice or some experience. That's awesome too. And it that can help. But a lot of the time it's just about us getting it out and just talking about it. So don't be afraid to reach out if you're struggling. It's a huge thing, just getting it out there, even just shooting a text out there. And once again, that's where that support comes back into a coach, a mentor, a friend, a family member, somebody that you care about and that cares about you and that cares about that relationship that you can reach out to. All right, step 5, we got 2 more to go and then we'll wrap up today. Step 5, practicing self-compassion, man. This is a big one. Be nice to yourself. Man, I am my own worst enemy. I'll say it first. I can kick my own ass up and down the street when I mess something up. And, we live in kind of this environment sometimes that encourages this self-talk and self-criticism, especially when it comes to things like breaking habits or achieving goals. And if we don't meet up to those expectations and meet those goals or do it perfectly, man, we can tend to kick our own ass and we don't give ourselves grace and we're really hard on ourselves. Look, if you slip up, if you get a few days, a few weeks, then you go back to drinking and it didn't work out exactly like you thought, man, like it's not a failure until you completely just give up on it. Okay. So it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that like, man, I'm in a battle right now. I'm in a war. And in order to win this war, I need to win individual battles. And I'm not going to win every single one along the way. I'm going to mess up sometimes. Okay. So, especially in the early on, and it's not an excuse either. It's not like, oh, I messed up. I drank again, whatever. I'm going to go drink again tonight or whatever the situation is. It's not making excuses. It's just acknowledging the fact that this is a process and it might not be perfect at first. And like I said before, different scenarios are different for everybody. When I quit, I quit. I haven't had alcohol in, going on 12 years this year. And I say that very humbly and with the fact that I know that one bad moment could change everything if I'm not careful. So I'm aware of that, but I was all in. I hit that point of failing so many times before where I was all in. And as I gained momentum and support and all the stuff we're talking about, I did all of this stuff and I continue to do it. It works. It works. I'm living proof of that. So one of the things though, back to giving yourself grace, it matters how you respond to self in these moments and that you don't give up entirely. Like I said, in order to win the war, you got to win the battles, and you're not going to win every battle. It's not going to happen. The important thing is that you get up, that you dust yourself off, and that you try it again. And in order to do that, you got to have some grace. You got to have some compassion on yourself. Every day is a new day. It's an opportunity to make progress. So don't let one mistake throw you off all the way and then you just quit and throw in the towel and you're done. Like, be patient with yourself. Recognize that change takes time and it's a whole process and it's okay. But if you implement the tools and you have a plan, I promise you're going to be successful along the way more often than not if you're following the plan, if you're following the path that you've laid out for yourself and you're utilizing the tools that work. All right, last one, step 6 for this. And once again, this is the first step, 6 steps here. First steps to breaking free from alcohol and starting your journey in that direction, alcohol free. Okay, celebrating your wins. We talked about this at the beginning. I said this was going to be in here. This is a huge one because we think sometimes that, oh, that's not, it's kind of irrelevant. It's not a huge deal. I'm not going to, whatever, oh man, I have 10 days. That's cool. But that dude over there has 3 years, 10 days. Dude, that's so huge. Just 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, every little accomplishment and win is a step forward in the right direction. And I'm not saying you got to throw a damn party, every time you make, but acknowledge it. Acknowledge that you went 3 days. Acknowledge that you're starting to feel a little bit better. Acknowledge that you learned how to have a conversation, which was a little bit more compassionate and understanding with somebody that you care about, your spouse or a friend, or maybe one of your kids, and you weren't intoxicated, during that time. You took the time to sit back and come home from work after a long day and go on a nice walk, and sit down with the family and eat dinner, and then go work on, something for your business that night. For the next day, you lined out your day, and you did all of that without having alcohol involved, because sometimes that's not an easy thing to do. That's one battle won that night of the war. Like, think about that. And so celebrate that stuff, write it down, take a quick note of it. If you're in our Sober Guy men's community, post it, posting your wins, celebrating your wins. Maybe I should do a challenge in there, celebrating your wins. And maybe we'll do one win each day for 10 days or something. And we can start posting that. I'm going to try to remember to do that. I should take a quick note of it. Let's do it real quick. Celebrate your wins. Okay, cool. So I'll add that to our Victory Circle men's community, and that'll be a challenge in there to help us stay on track, something like that. When you take time to acknowledge the progress that you made, it reinforces your commitment to your goals. It makes your path to getting to where you're going quite a bit more enjoyable. And you'll start to see that each small step ahead, each small step forward, you'll start to see it as part of a larger overall perspective of kind of transforming and making the change that you're going for over time. But it's the little wins that are important. You got to celebrate those along the way. So, all right, let's recap that really quick here, all 6. So, the first steps to breaking free from alcohol is step 1, acknowledging your why. Okay. Step 2, starting with small goals. Step 3, shifting your mindset. Focus on what you can do. Step 4, build a support system. Step 5, practicing self-compassion. Man, give yourself grace. And then step 6, celebrating your wins. Remember that this whole process and quitting alcohol it's just what I just said. It's a process. It takes time. Start small, the little things, some of the tips we talked about today, you can actively start today if you want. Focus on mindset, celebrating your wins. Most importantly, being patient, giving yourself grace along the way. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxiety, pause, take a deep breath, acknowledge how far you've come, or acknowledge that you're even in the right state of mind where you're willing to make a change. That's a win. Okay. And keep moving forward. Remember, each step, no matter how small it might seem or how irrelevant it might seem, it's a step in the right direction. And it's a step in the right direction of change and leading that life that you're envisioning, that you feel in your gut so bad that, is the right place for you to be. I appreciate you guys listening today. I hope something spoke to you. Share the podcast with a friend. Go to thatsoberguy.com for more resources. All of our stuff is there. The Victory Circle, our free Sober Guy men's community, one-on-one coaching. Love working with all kinds of different dudes who are trying to stay sober from alcohol. Appreciate you tuning in. Keep your blood clean.